On this Monday night, an extraordinary rescue operation deep in a cave in northern Thailand.
This story really grabbed everybody's attention because of the way it unfolded. I was back in Vancouver following the news like everybody else. I was thinking, this doesn't look good. Like, if they find these kids, they're probably not going to be alive.
How many of you? 13. Brilliant.
But then they found them. And just the shot of those kids and their coach huddled on the rock, sitting there, essentially waiting to be rescued was just unbelievable.
I am really happy.
We are happy too.
I mean, it was an incredible story. And then once the oxygen levels in the cave started dropping, CBC had made the decision to send us. And we got a call about 6 a.m. Saturday morning, and we were on a flight a few hours later. I've covered quite a few major events where you have media from all over the world turn up, but nothing like this. I mean, there were several hundred members of the media there, and by the time we got there, it was all very organized. There was this media center, and it had been raining so much that the media had basically been huddled at a table underneath the tarp, trying to protect all their laptops and camera gear from getting wet. And all around the outside were volunteers. These were volunteers that had come down with their motorbikes, and they were able to ferry members of the media down towards the closest we could get, really, to the entrance of the cave. And that's what they did all day. They ferried media back and forth. And then down there were more volunteers making coffee, volunteers cooking noodles. And it really just showed what a community effort it was. But it was very muddy, right? We had tall rain boots on the whole time, and if you dropped a microphone or a cable, it was going to get stuck in the mud. And then, of course, you have just the humidity and everything on top of that, so the challenges of being in that environment. I think one of the moments that stuck out was when we went to one of the schools in Mae Sai, and it was where one of the team members went to school. This boy was the one, by the way, who, when rescuers reached the team, he was the only one that spoke English. He was a star athlete, and he spoke a number of different languages. And hearing just about what a high achiever he was, and the fact that he was able to communicate with those first few divers when they found the team, they had this whole shrine up to him in the atrium of the school. They had pictures of him, pictures that they had drawn, kind of words of comfort and good wishes. It was just amazing to hear about his personal story.
All the rain they had predicted and feared has arrived, so officials will be watching the water level inside that cave very closely when they start the next and possibly final rescue.
So the third day of the rescue operation, there was a sense that they were going to try to bring out all 5 on the final day. There was this whole process. Once the boys were rescued from the cave, they were taken in an ambulance, driven to a helicopter, put in the helicopter, and then flown to the hospital. So every time you saw that helicopter take off, you knew it was another boy that was out of the cave. So there was really this running tally going throughout the day. People said, okay, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. And by the time the helicopter took off for the 5th time, you knew that the entire team was out of that cave. There was a lot of celebrations where we were down by the volunteers. People were singing and dancing, and I was interviewing this woman who'd been volunteering, translating, and during the middle of the interview, she gave me a hug.
It's so nice. A lot of happy people here tonight in Thailand.
And that really stays with me because, for one, people typically don't hug me in the middle of an interview, but also she was just so happy that that's how, she had wanted to express herself at that moment. And, as a reporter, a lot of the times you cover things where there's not a happy ending, where there is a tragedy and it's sad news. But in this case, it was really interesting to be there when it was a really good outcome.
Obviously, people there are thrilled at the outcome, anxious to see the boys. When might that happen?
Well, some of the parents have already visited the boys in the hospital, and more will soon. This was a story where everybody was rooting for that team and for all the rescuers. And, a reporter or not, you can't help but be touched by that.